This episode is brought to you by this summer's Wildlands charity auction, which is now open for bidding on amazing stuff, all benefiting local nonprofit conservation groups. Go to wildlandsmusic.com/charity. We're good. I think everything's going. I am here with 45 Architecture and Interiors. This is a Bozeman-based company, and they are responsible for high-end residential, commercial, and public use projects. You can list a few. Museum of the Rockies. They did some work on campus that we'll talk about at MSU. And this beautiful facility, the new Belgrade Public Library located at 205 East Main Street. This is Jeff Lusin, founder. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jeff.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
Let's start by talking about this library. What a great space, multi-purpose. Talk a little bit about how it came to be.
Yeah, it was very much a community-led project. You know, it started in 2016 as actually a student project at MSU through a program called CDC. With Tom McNabb, actually, and Tom was working on a remodel of the library somewhere else because they were expanding and needed space. 2015, the Belgrade Library won Best Small Town Library in America, in fact. So it was you had some momentum there. And 2016, and then we were brought on kind of 2019, 2020 as kind of an architect as Tom was kind of growing the momentum of the library. Gail Bacon was the previous executive director in charge of that. And so from there, we really tried to, Tom Berkeley, or Ted Berkeley, excuse me, was the previous city manager. And so we were working with him through a pre-bond exercise on design, capacity needs, where it would be located. And the old fire station, which was previously here, had moved. They built a new one at the airport. And so there was a very logical place for a library next to a park. And so from there, it just started to grow. The Belgrade community passed that bond. And then from there, we started getting design and working with donors to build what is here today. Neil Cardwell, the current city manager, started kind of right after the bond passed. So it was a great kind of vision moment that, and we'll talk about this more, I'm sure, but we were kind of the sidekick to this vision that had started many years ago, that the community really wanted this building. And so to be honest, it's a huge honor to be sitting here talking to you, that had started really 10 years ago.
I love that you basically took over an old fire station. Did you have to fight off any Ghostbusters?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
We, that's part of our superpowers. In fact, we kind of do it all, predict the future and fight ghosts as part of it. So,
great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're prepared for anything.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the uses for the library. It seems like there's some unique features, some of the specialized rooms. You got a drive-through. Why do we need a drive-through at a library?
Well, we're in Montana, and I think being part of Montana is dealing with cold weather. And so we really wanted to make it easy for people of all ages to be able to drop their books off and make it really accessible. They can pick up holds through that spot too. So
okay. So it's not just drop off. I can have a book waiting for me,
yes,
drive through and pick it up.
Love it,
without ever
right?
leaving my car.
Yeah.
All right. It's pretty slick.
That is pretty slick. Yeah. I mean, the library itself is really a community center at heart, mixed with a library. And so, there's meeting rooms and makerspace rooms and, teaching rooms, all really to provide avenues and aspects for the community to use. So it's so much more than just a library. And I think you're seeing that as the public kind of makes use of it the way they want to.
And the kids' library area connects directly to the park.
It does.
How smart.
It's hard to beat, right? There's a splash park out there, a skate park out there. Alina, the current executive director, really is saying there's a lot of crossover now with the park, which is so great because it really does empty into the park. So parents can really kind of take a break from the library if they want to and get into the park and then come back. And so they can be here more hours than originally just kind of an isolated, city library. So,
Pretty nice.
Yeah, awesome, right?
What was the timeline from when you first, you're on your drafting table drawing blueprints by hand to when you were able to cut the ribbon with the giant scissors?
Gosh, yeah. There's so many variables that goes into that. So it's a bit of a loaded question when we get asked that. Typically, a project of this size is about a year to draw and design.
Okay.
We have different kind of checks and balances along the way for budget, checking that budget, meeting with the city council, getting their approval, really kind of bringing people along on that journey. We're really kind of the tour guides of this process. And so we want champions and build those champions along the way. So, easing into that is important. And then as we draw it, it breaks ground. We get a budget. We have to work through kind of budget constraints on, we got to cut this. That's not going to work. We got to fix the drawings. We got to fix the design. We get it to a number everybody's happy with. And then, a project like this is kind of 2 years of construction. So we say you kind of date your architect and marry your contractor. It's very true because we're on this project a long time, and then the contractor really sees it even after construction for warranty items, small leaks if there are, things like that.
So the number is 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, 3 years.
3
years.
Okay.
From inception of design, that's a hard thing because people really have the vision many years prior to that, whether it's their own home or a public building. But when we're actively signed on and working on the project and design, 2-year build.
Okay.
So 3 years.
And you still using a T-square?
No.
Big old table?
No. I trained in that. Yeah, I trained in that, drafting boards. And, in the university, it was like, couldn't use a computer till year 4.
Okay.
So a lot of hand drawings and times at Kinko's.
Makes sense. How do most projects come your way?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, it could be word of mouth. There's probably 100 different touch points for us to get on a project. A lot of it is referrals. This project alone, we had been working with Tom McNabb. Tom McNabb had been working with Gail Bacon, the previous executive director. And so Tom and I had a relationship, and then that's how we got brought on. Public projects are a public RFQ usually through a newspaper or kind of public advertisement. With public dollars, it's normally done that way. It doesn't always have to be done that way. Yeah. So we don't normally have to bid numbers. We bid on qualifications.
Okay.
And so a lot of public work, MSU, University of Montana, the university system is like that. And then any kind of state or publicly funded dollars is usually like that. Outside of that, the private side, it's a lot of referrals and, hey, we love working with them. You got to work with them. And we love that because I think we do really well in referrals because I think we always say it's partnerships, not projects. And that's really true because, Gail Bacon's still a great friend and Neil Cardwell as well. And so it's compounding. It's kind of like a network. It just starts to spider web out.
And you guys have kind of carved out a niche as being, as you like to say, the dreamer's sidekick. You like for people to kind of bring you these fanciful notions, and then you make them practical.
Yeah, in some ways, we love that. I think, we love kind of that startup culture, if you will, of coming to us with a sometimes fantastical idea, and then how can we add value to that and create a process that can make it happen. Right. So a lot of people really don't understand how they just say, I have an idea. How do I make it happen? Or I don't even know what it should look like. That's where we really fit in well, is that we can say, okay, we're experts at this, right? We're tour guides. That's our superpower. We can really take that idea and vision and look at the logistics, look at the costs, look at the timelines, and provide feedback to our owners to make it happen. And sometimes the ideas are way out there and we're like, let's look at this. The dream is really the exciting part.
Yeah. And what's the most common thing that you kind of have to talk people out of in Bozeman?
What kind of project type would you say?
This would probably be a high-end home.
A balcony.
Right? Okay.
People love balconies, and the idea of a balcony is amazing. And I agree with that. It's just a balcony off the primary suite. Nobody uses it, and so what we do is we take that idea, because everybody thinks they're going to go downstairs or go across the house, get a cup of coffee, and then come, meanwhile passing by a gorgeous view or a gorgeous living room, and then take it back up to your primary bedroom and drink coffee up there. It just never happens. And so what you say is like, we'll take that idea of what coffee in that morning routine can look like, and let's put it somewhere else.
Okay. You're not telling them to put a coffee station in the master bedroom.
No. I think that's really kind of part of our job, is providing really expert feedback on, hey, I have this idea, and because we're that translator, we're saying, love the idea. How do we actually use it to what you really want to accomplish, which is, I really want to enjoy my morning. Well, how do you want to enjoy? In some ways you want to be outside. Well, we have this great outdoor space right off your living room, or maybe it's a first floor primary. Let's just go outside and create a really great space with landscape architecture outside too. So really kind of compounding that idea, not to say no, but to say yes and.
Totally.
Right.
You got a bunch of, current homeowners, future homeowners watching this, listening to this right now. What is one piece of advice you wish that every future owner builder would heed?
Yeah, I love that. I would say dream first, meaning a lot of times people come in and they say, I just need this. And they try to solve the functional issue of like, I need 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. And what we say is, let's take a step back, and how do you want to live? How do you live currently? What are things you're trying to accomplish, and really design around those constraints versus the functional side of it from the beginning. And budget has us some ways to do that. So we always say, let's start with a dream. We can always carve it back. But when you don't start with a dream, you're always going to wonder what could have been. And I never want to say, oh, we could have done that had we known about that to begin with. And so we really want to start with a dream. And that's my advice to everybody, is start with your dream. And budget included. It's going to be more expensive than you want, but we can carve it back as you need to. But it's so much more fun to design something that you can dream about, and then we can work on making it a reality a little later.
Go crazy,
yeah,
and then you can scale them back.
Yeah, let's have some fun, right? It's that creative process. We should allow it to be creative, and then we'll apply the reality to it when we need to.
Yeah. How do we hold on to the sort of architectural identity of this area? And I do want you to define what the architectural identity of Bozeman is.
Yeah.
But how do we hold on to that without losing our sense? We're growing so fast.
Yep.
Right? Are we making mistakes along the way?
Sure. We always will. I think that's the reality of it. The architectural style, I'm going to be as ambiguous as possible. Montana modern, and I think that can mean something for different for everybody. That's kind of what we've trended into, is Montana modern.
Okay.
This building is a great example of that. We really used what we call the Valley of the Flowers kind of hallway in order to transition the building from what is kind of a historic downtown, the use of brick, the proportions of the windows, into something kind of more organic and park-like. And so much of our architecture takes precedent of what is there, and shows and that ownership that has been developed over many, many years, and then really wants to push it into this current age. And I think we need to do that as citizens ourselves, is show relevance to what has been, and then also celebrate the people that are giving their input today. I think that's something that is lost in the current conversation, is we should be celebrating today as well, versus holding on to the past. As somebody who grew up here, we didn't have an identifiable architecture. In fact, architecture really wasn't accepted here until probably 15 years ago. True architecture as an art form and an expression. It was a functional way of solving the problem.
Everything was utilitarian.
The schools, maybe Fred Wilson's Wilson's school downtown was
right.
a gorgeous building, and there are a lot of gorgeous buildings. I don't want to say there wasn't some architecture, but I think as an art form and a kind of a mass acceptance of it, that has been happening in the last, I'd say, 15 years. And there's some really great stuff, and it does create some identity issues, and the movement of Bozeman and the surrounding Gallatin Valley, including Belgrade, Three Forks, Manhattan, is that process of evolution very quickly. It's a very different place than I grew up here. A lot of my friends, we all had to move away to get professional jobs. It was a unaffordable place even when I was growing up. So it's something we're all still battling with. It's hit critical mass as far as a major issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, even with all the new construction, you see a lot of mixed medium, the stone and wood, brick.
Yes.
These feel like they're earthy. That is what.
Yeah, using local materials of stone and brick a little bit. Technically it's not a local material, but a lot of use of wood. In this building we used some mass timber. Timber is a sustainable resource, and so we really wanted to bring as much wood. And who doesn't want to be around gorgeous woods all day? So that's kind of our primary focus, is the use of wood in different ways as best we can. And then, a bit of steel, a bit of glass, bit of, brick if we have, if we can.
There's some tin roofs.
Some tin. Yeah. Back to the kind of ag based forms. We love pulling from those agricultural forms in the landscape. I think those are some of the most gorgeous, picturesque views that if you drive around Montana, the grain bids and the old, hay barns and things like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Do you try to talk people out of metal roofs?
No, I don't.
No? You think they're good?
Yeah, I think they're good. Yeah,
Okay.
I think there's a quality there that is agricultural. What we say, it's kind of bonderized, or that slightly rusted metal is very, the tin roof, the corrugated tin roof around Montana. It has this permanence here that we want to adapt to kind of modern architecture.
Loud.
It is loud. It
hailing.
depends on the insulation and your assembly. If we want to get building science on it.
It doesn't have to be loud?
No, it doesn't have to be.
Wow.
Loud. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that.
Okay. Yeah.
Reclaimed barnwood.
Yes.
I feel like it's a big deal. Is it a lot of hype, or do you think that there's something to it?
It's Montana's new gold. I say, it's one of these things that is very quintessential kind of rustic architecture.
Yeah.
And it can be applied in certain ways. But
What's
it is
so great about it?
I think it's the character. It's much like, new brick versus old brick. We've had clients that really want to reclaim old brick because they love that character,
because it's weathered.
that ununiformed look that's you really can't replicate. You can, but it feels manufactured. And so that barnwood is very much like that. It's like, hey, it's a new house, but it replicates something old, which I think actually speaks to a bit of the struggle we have in Montana of like, it's new, but it replicates something old.
Do you recommend it?
I do, for a low maintenance material. You really don't have to touch it. You don't have to restain it. You just let it age. There's a lot of materials like that, especially in the wood products now, that you can kind of let it age. So you're kind of paying it up front. It has a lot of character to it, but you got to want it because it's really expensive.
Yeah. What color should I be painting my reclaimed barnwood?
Clear.
Never painted a color.
Yeah. You're paying up front for it, and then to paint it white, you might as well have bought new wood.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 Let's talk about some of the MSU stuff. You've got a couple projects under your belt on campus at Montana State, and a couple that you're currently working on now.
Yep.
Talk through some of what you have given the community here.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate to be able to work on MSU's campus for almost 10 years now, and we've met some amazing people that have visions too, including students. When we first started Lambert Field, which is a turf and rec sports area for students, that was a student-led project with student fees.
That's the one that's right on West Lincoln?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And that was such an interesting and really fun project. And in fact, that's a great example of a project we designed as many factors into it, and still the students, they used it for rail jam in the last couple of years. And I just love that we built these berms to really protect balls from going onto Lincoln and to really make it more private. Well, they took those little hills as an opportunity for rail jam. And I just love it because it kind of becomes a party space for that. So, even when we try to figure out all the factors, the user themselves is always going to use it in a creative way. And I love that about architecture, because you really can't control everything. So Lambert Field was a great project for us. We also helped out the athletics with the new indoor practice facility for the Bobcats and track. That's a great
enormous.
Enormous. What
are the specs on that?
100,000 square feet.
Cool.
I think it's like 70 feet at the peak. It really needed to be able to be, punt to football.
Right.
And so, there was some back and forth on track and football if track was going to fit, because, you can have a much smaller facility if you don't have a track around the football, because you need a runoff area so you're not just running right onto the track kind of thing. And track was able to jump on board and get in there. And now it's a great facility. So track is now going to get pulled out of the field house, which, the whole rodeo track, moving all that dirt in, moving it out for track is a lot easier for MSU.
Will the meets be happening in that new building as well?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, so it's a pretty great opportunity for MSU.
And a change to the skyline of Bozeman.
A bit,
when you're up at Pete's looking down, that big hulking building changes the way the stadium looks.
Yeah, we really try to sneak it in there in some ways. Yeah. How do you hide a 100,000 square foot, 70-foot building? And really tucking it kind of by the stadium so you have similar scales. We actually modified that big retention pond over there in order to get it to fit.
Yep.
Paving that parking lot to add additional parking space was part of that. So it's, that's kind of the masterful craft of how do you get things to scale.
Okay.
Right.
And you've got special access, so if we need to throw a big party or something,
sure.
we can do it there.
Yeah. I might have to make some phone calls, but I might know some.
We don't
people.
have to tell anybody. It'll be low key. It'll be cool. And another project that you're working on is a hotel on campus at MSU with a very specific purpose.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for the School of Hospitality Management and Culinary Arts, as well as Gallatin College, to interact with kind of a teaching hotel on campus. It's really been a vision of Cruzado's, who's now retiring or leaving MSU. I think June this month is her last month. But that project started many, many years ago. You want to talk about a big vision 10 years ago. And then from there, really building a program for one of the largest industries in our state, tourism. And so being able to have a teaching hotel, and there's other universities that have done this, and it's a great opportunity for locally and for the campus itself. So yeah, we're super excited about that.
It's going to be a working hotel as well. Can people stay there?
Oh yeah. It's a public hotel. It'll be Marriott, and so people will be able to stay there and go to all the events on campus and the concerts and all the football games and basketball games and volleyball and all that stuff.
If I stay there, do I get to grade the staff at the end of my stay?
I wonder. Yeah, I bet there's a little customer service box, right? Like a comment box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give some feedback.
Yeah, it's probably all digital, but yeah.
Fill out the Scantron.
Yeah.
Well, those are exciting projects. I like that. Oh, okay. My 16-year-old wanted me to ask you, what is the best shape?
I love this question. The best shape. I think the circle is the best shape.
Really?
Structurally, the pyramid or the triangle is the best shape.
It's the strongest.
It is the strongest. But there's something elegant about the circle. I think, you talk about Roman architecture and you talk about, the curve is really hard to beat.
Okay.
We can really get into this. Yeah. I think, the moon, there's God surrounded around circles. So okay. I'm confident the circle is my favorite shape.
Do you use the circle in your architecture?
We do. Yeah, actually there's a giant curve outside and there's a lot of curves in this building really to create some fantastical shapes for kids. Kids love circles. Everybody loves circles.
You like a wall without corners?
Not entirely, but I like the idea that you're playing with, because architecture, the most functional square footage is a circle. Then you go to a cube. And so a lot of architecture kind of becomes cubes. Okay. Big multifamily, it's the most efficient as a giant cube.
It's like modular.
It's modular. Yeah, it's easy to construct. It's, structural engineers love it, right? Engineers love it. And so if you can break the corners a little bit, I mean, how great is that, right? So, I mean, the Roman Colosseum, I mean, some of these really, great pieces of architecture, the Parthenon, the Pantheon, right? All these, like, they all have, circles and domes and, these, which are also structural. It's just more expensive to build usually.
Yeah. Well, this room is a cube. And I think it's pretty great.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
If there are kids who are kind of interested in getting into architecture, how do you recommend that they get started? Is it all Legos?
Yeah, there's Legos. It's funny. I think it's being inquisitive is getting the start. There's a great mix. I got into architecture because I really loved art. I was an oil painter growing up, loved oil painting, a lot of the Impressionists. And so from there, I was like, okay, but I love math and science. And I was always really good at physics and math itself. And so architecture is really a mix of art and architecture, or art and science. And if you like more science, then that's more engineering. Mm-hmm. If you like more art, that becomes kind of graphic design, industrial design, things like that. So really being inquisitive in that realm, and then taking that and really getting involved and following your favorite architects and reading publications. And then in high school, taking a drafting class, I never did, but I think it's just, becoming aware of what the world of architecture is, going to lectures, getting involved, visiting offices. I was a part of a program when I lived in San Francisco and Portland called ACE Mentorship Program. It's through high schools where they get to be part of architecture, construction, and engineering. And so there's that access. But if you don't have those programs, it's really great to just go visit an architecture firm and say, hey, architects love showing off their work, right? Like that's their heart and soul. And so saying, hey, I would love to get a tour and just hear what you guys do. You'd be surprised how often you can get an answer on that.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Right. Well, something for the kids to do, and obviously visit some of the spaces that you guys have built, whether it's the public use,
Yep.
The Wildlands downtown,
Yeah.
Certain individual homes, and if you have a home that needs to get built, obviously you know who to talk to.
That's right.
I don't have any more questions. I do want to play a dumb Marmot game with you.
Okay.
Called Bang for Your Buck.
Okay.
All right. We are in a library.
Love that.
Talking to an architect. I'm going to give you fictional buildings from literature. You have to tell me how much it would cost to build them from
I love
scratch.
this. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Rough idea.
Okay.
I'm not going to hold you to it.
No.
We're going to start with the tree house from Swiss Family Robinson. Okay? This is it's a novel by Johann David Weiss. You can look at it, an elaborate multi-level treehouse built from salvaged ship parts. You got a library, kitchen, bedrooms, all in a tree. Here's the stats you need to know. Footprints roughly 24 by 16, two-story home with support beams mortised 10 feet above the ground, and then again another 10 feet up. Ceiling roughly 20 feet high in the great room, I assume. Walls 6-foot solid wood and reed trellis upper. The roof sloped bark roofing on basic wooden frame. What am I paying for Swiss Family Robinson's treehouse?
Yeah. Location. Where is this located?
Let's say Bozeman.
Okay.
For ease of use.
I would say $200,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's a good budget level home. Entry level.
A little breezy, not conditioned. Yeah.
But
yeah,
views have to be spectacular.
Yeah.
From
yeah. You get the breeze.
you're starting with your basement 10 feet up, so
yeah,
you're gonna have
it's a win-win.
Great spots.
You're out of this. Yeah, you're out of the snow. Yeah.
I have from Grimm's Fairy Tales, Rapunzel's Tower. Okay, this is remote, vertical, no doors, only accessible via hair. 60-foot height. The footprint is a circle, 15 to 20 foot diameter. One story, really. You just need one room up there, though it is 3 levels high. Stone masonry, deep foundation, and the roof is conical. Single window,
yep.
Obviously.
Yep.
So
so the complication on this one is the height. So you're going to have masons that are building this very tall, and so you have either scaffolding, towers. So this one gets a bit more complicated. I would say 1.4.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's basically a single room, but
yep.
still 1.4 million for Rapunzel's Tower.
It's the height and the structural kind of keeping it upright, the foundation. it gets expensive real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a book for the next one because
Sure.
it's checked out currently, but it's
popular.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. I want to know how much it cost to build Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. We're talking about chocolate, river, and waterfalls, a glass elevator, small-scale employee housing for the problematic indentured servant Oompa Loompa workforce. Total structure is probably 100 to 200,000 square feet. It's a multi-use factory complex with food-safe heat pump system for those chocolate rivers and waterfalls. How much am I paying for Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory?
I would say 800 to 100 million. 80 to 100 million.
80 to 100 million
Yeah.
dollars to build Charlie's Chocolate Factory here.
Yeah,
in
with all
Bozeman.
those moving parts and the chocolate and the heaters to keep that warm enough. And
Yeah.
the housing. Yeah.
A lot of
yeah.
infrastructure
I mean, you
there.
could maybe get a little less, but
Okay.
it's pretty specialized stuff.
Where are you going to put that in Bozeman that's out of the way enough? Because, Willy Wonka's a bit of a recluse. He doesn't like for people to be
I think
staring into his facility.
Yeah, that's true. It's although you could hide it. It seems like that's a lot of the hidden features of that facility. So maybe
You saying do the whole thing underground?
yeah, because there's no
That's
windows
gotta
in it.
up the price.
Oh
tag.
yeah. That's add another 30 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
To go subterranean.
Yeah.
Tack on another 30 million to that
Yeah.
number. That actually seems pretty reasonable for what you're building. So
Yeah.
I like that. I'm leaning into it.
We'll
I
find
may-
investors.
Yeah, I may need to start a GoFundMe. All right, last one from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and all of the Harry Potter books. I think there are 15 of them at this point. Let's talk about Hogwarts Castle.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Staircases that move, rooms that disappear. You've got possibly sentient walls and annoying British children riding flying brooms while you're trying to build. I'll give you that book. Just over 600,000 square feet. Height range, we're looking at 60 meters to 100 meters up on the towers, maybe 8 major levels of floors, a basement that's haunted, of course, and attic floors, custom stonework, towers, buttresses, dormers, extensive facades, dozens of staircases and corridors. I have no idea where you're going to put this.
All stone.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That's
I'd say
your medium.
1.8 billion.
$1.8 billion to build Hogwarts Castle in
Yeah.
Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah. I mean, think stadiums, right? Stadiums are billions, and they're doing a lot less cool things than flying stairs and all stone.
Yeah. That's
Not quite
a
as
lot.
big. Well,
Who's
square
gonna
footage.
pony that up? Who's got interest? That's the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Disney.
Maybe so. Yeah. I mean, they did it at small scale at Universal
Yeah.
Studios.
And
So
that's only part of it.
quite possibly. But 1.8 billion that's an eye popper right there.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll start with Swiss Family Robinson's Treehouse. But thank you, Jeff, for playing Bang for your book
Absolutely.
with me and for talking to me.
Yeah. This has been really great.
About your business and everything that you've done. It's very cool. Everybody needs to come to Belgrade Public Library and just spend some time in the space, as well as see other projects. And who knows, maybe build your own home, bring some crazy ideas to
we
Jeff.
love it. Yeah, we
and
love
let him
it.
turn them into reality.
That's right. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Thanks for me being here.
Thanks for all of us being here.
Yeah, that's right.